Today's webinar at the correct time of 2 o'clock, and I can only apologise to those of you that were expecting this at 1 o'clock today, and then it was 2 o'clock, then it was 1 o'clock, or it's happened at multiple times. But we're just going to let everybody take a minute to come into this session, and then we'll kick off at 2 minutes past 2. So if you can just bear with us, hopefully you've got a coffee and a sandwich of some sort, and you're ready to enjoy this next hour with Tony and myself from Youth Employment UK. So we'll just leave another minute or so for people to come into the room. Okay, the numbers are slowly going up, so we'll get into it. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Jane Rawlings. I'm the Chief Exec here of Youth Employment UK.
But I don't know what I'll send it over to you. If
I could just ask you to mute yourselves as you're in the session. Hello, Jonathan, it's nice to see you. So yes, I am Laura Jane Rawlings. I'm the Chief Exec here at Youth Employment UK. I'm really delighted to see so many of you have been able to join this session at the time of 2 p.m. I'm really very sorry for the confusion around the times today. Entirely my fault. And as I said in my message, it just shows that I should not be in charge of anything we do with technology. So apologies for that, but we will have a great session, I know. Today we're going to be talking with colleague and good human of DWP, Tony Highland. Tony is Youth Employment UK's relationship manager, so we've had a fantastic working relationship for the last 2 years or so, I think it is, and Tony's offered to come and talk to our network about the opportunities that have been developed through DWP in response to the impact COVID has had on our young people. And I know very much we're gonna sort of really have a lens of Kickstart in this conversation today. So before I really introduce Tony and get into the questions and the conversation, just to do a bit of housekeeping, we are recording this session. We, of course, will put this up on our website it'll be Tuesday now because of the bank holiday, and it will be available with the transcript and any links and resources that we talk about, as well as information that Tony provides during the session. So hopefully we can follow up with you all on Tuesday next week with that. If you're struggling with bandwidth, please turn your cameras off, but please do make sure your microphones are off through the whole session. We are hoping that we will get a live Q&A with Tony, so I'll rattle through, but please do use the chat box firstly to introduce yourself. It's nice to make friends and use that time to do that and do a bit of networking. And also, if you have questions during the session, feel free to put those into the chat box and we will get to them in that Q&A. Anything we don't get to, Tony will, I know, take the questions away and come back to me so we can respond to you directly. My colleagues Ian Tinto are in the chat box and will be providing help and support if you need it, along with our apprentice Kim, who will be running some polls throughout the session. So I think that's the housekeeping. For those of you that are new to Youth Employment UK, just a little bit of information about us. We're a not-for-profit social enterprise that was set up back in 2011 to tackle youth unemployment. It means we've been really busy this year, as you can probably imagine, in the wake of COVID. We are a youth-led organisation, which makes us pretty unique and interesting. It means that all of the policy positions, the views that we take, the advice we share, the lobbying we do, is all through the lenses of what young people tell us their barriers and challenges are. We use that information to work with employers to help them become youth-friendly and remove barriers to work for young people, whilst helping young people boost their skills, their careers, confidence and knowledge through our free resources on our website. But we also work really closely across government, helping government to understand where young people are, what they need, and how policy can really be geared up to meet the needs of those young people. We're one of the co-chairs of the Youth Employment Group, which is a specialist policy group that was set up back in March last year to respond and support government directly to the impact of COVID on young people. And Kickstart and the Plan for Jobs, and indeed the Opportunity Guarantee, promoted by the Prime Minister last year, were direct responses to the work of that Youth Employment Group, a group that I'm immensely proud to be involved in, absolute experts in this field of work. So let's get to it. Kim, can I get you to put up the first poll? We're really keen to understand where you are on your Kickstart journey. We've got gateways in this room today, we've got employers in the room, and of course we've got wraparound service providers. But if you are on that Kickstart journey, just let us know if you're at the beginning of it, if you've had vacancies improved, if you've already got young people on placements, that's pretty exciting, whether or not you're a gateway or a wraparound service provider. Just take a second there to fill us in on where you are with your Kickstart journey. Okay, and we'll be looking at that data shortly. Right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen because actually much better to see mine and Tony's faces in full view. Tony, hello and welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, LJ. As I say, Friday's my normal non-working day. I shouldn't say that, but if LJ Rawlings comes knocking at the door, I will always respond. And to talk about youth unemployment and Kickstart is a great opportunity. So yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Well, you're a hero, giving your time up to all of us today on this Friday. I hope there's a big gin waiting for you after it. Right, Tony, just give me and the brilliant colleagues in the room just a quick appraisal of Kickstart. Tell us what it is and why it's really important. Let's just dive straight into this.
Yeah, let's do so. Kickstart is a key part of our plan for jobs, and it's really around supporting those young people between 16 and 24 that need the extra help and support in the workplace. And a key element to it is it's actually a job in essence, and a sort of work placement, a 6-month placement, 25 hours a week. We will pay whatever the national minimum wage is for that period. And hopefully as an employer, if it's an additional post that you've got that you can create for this, and it's a great meaningful opportunity for a young person to get involved, then you can offer those Kickstart opportunities. We're promoting them to all of our young customers. As an employer, you can get directly involved now in Kickstart. There was the threshold of 30 jobs you needed to have. That's gone now, so you can get involved directly, or you can get involved, as I know a number of you are, through gateways, which is absolutely great as well. So yeah, in essence, that's what Kickstart is about. We see it really about, I think it's 2 or 3 things. I think it's about young, vulnerable adults that need that help and support. And when I'm talking about vulnerable adults, I'm talking about our key groups. I'm talking about young care leavers. I'm talking about disability confident here, young disabled job seekers that may need that help and support. I'm talking about victims of domestic abuse. I'm talking about ex-offenders. That's really what we're looking at. On the other hand, I think the key to understand is the way the economy has reacted over the past 6 months or year, and may well react over the next 3 or 4 months, because I think we've got a lot of young skilled people that have actually now been made unemployment due to lockdown, due to the end of furlough. We need to see what that looks like over the next 3 or 4 months. We've also had, as I say, a lot of young people that have relevant recent work experience and have had to sort of leave their job for one reason or another. Hence the idea of it being available to all universal credit young people between 16 to 24. So that's the sort of focus. The focus has moved really, it's still about vulnerable young people, but it is about any young person that needs that help and support. So to have you guys on board is amazing. And we want to try to make this process as easy as we possibly can and support you with that. And just to sort of throw some headline stats in, which we are very proud of at the moment, we've approved around 196,000 Kickstart opportunities at the moment, whether it be via a direct employer or a gateway. We're currently advertising around 96,000 Kickstart opportunities on our platform. Bear in mind, all of our job centres are now open again, which is wonderful news. As of last week, we've just recruited 13,500 work coaches as well. And we have filled 16,600 actual opportunities so far, which I think, given the lockdown circumstances, given the sort of operational set up for Kickstart, and given our aspiration of 250,000, it's a good start. We are well on our way. We're filling around 300 Kickstart jobs a week. That was the average as of last week, and it's going up every day as more and more of our people are about. But that, in a nutshell, I think is Kickstart, LJ.
Excellent, and a really great description. And we're going to unpick some of those points too. And I know already. I can see the chat box buzzing. We're going to talk about extension, because actually Kickstart comes to an end. The last Kickstart placement can be appointed on the 31st of December this year. Yeah. Really interestingly, I had the opportunity of interviewing the Minister for Employment, Mims Davis, on Wednesday when these Kickstart figures came out. And it was great. You know, Mims is an excellent politician. She is a passionate advocate for young people. She had the previous brief at DCMS for young people, and it's and she's really brought that around to her role, I think, at DWP, because we'll talk about her response around Kickstart extension. But I want to come back to that issue of vulnerable young people, and also the quality of this type of program for them, and the quality assurance around this. Because, you know, Mims in our session yesterday, you know, absolutely was very clear, sorry, our session earlier this week, that Kickstart really is aimed at those who are furthest from the labour market, who need this extra support. And there is a bit of a danger that if we offer Kickstart placements to more experienced young people who perhaps have been made recently redundant, or young people who have recently left education with higher qualifications, that the young people who are furthest from the labour market, our vulnerable young people, as you call them, are going to miss out on the opportunity. And just on that, I know from the Youth Employment Group, and something my colleague Tony Wilson there talks a lot about, is that if we place young people who are work ready into Kickstart, they will end up in temporary roles where they're probably ready to go into permanent opportunities that are being created as well. So we have to balance that out. What does that really look like for a work coach on the ground?
Well, I think it's interesting you make that point, because we've had discussions with employers around this, and I think there's two schools of thought. I think maybe if you are an employer with a real CSR value and thinking about vulnerable customers, and we do have some employers that say, actually, we want to be recruiting young disabled customers, care leave as well. So you can be specifying that on your job descriptions and saying, we're particularly keen to recruit vulnerable adults. We have a lot of employers that actually see it also as being a stepping stone, a foundation into apprenticeships as well, internships. I think it's a difficult one to be really sort of hard and fast on this, because I think it is a halfway house. I was talking to a few construction employers the other day about their Kickstart experience, and they were saying that they have had this halfway house where they have had some customers referred through that will need extra help and support. They've also had a number of applications from unemployed graduates, from young people that, as I say, maybe are looking at a change of career. So it is very much a mixed bag. I think what we found useful is our Kickstart district account managers, which are new roles in DWP. Our account managers are now building links with employers and partners and having that discussion about where are you really in relation to recruiting our most vulnerable young people, because there is that reality check that needs to come in, because with some employers the aspirations are high, quite rightly. We need to be clear, these posts are additional posts. They're not there to fill sort of business critical posts, so they need to be really additional. And they need to be, as you say, LG, really about offering those young people that really do need that help and support. And what we've found, I've been on some great calls this week with some employers where, for instance, some vacancies are saying, well, you may need a driving license for this, or you may need certain qualifications. But in talking to the employer, some of the Kickstart account managers are actually oozing it. Well, actually, that's probably not really the case, because the account manager is saying, well, actually, we've got a large number because we're really interested in it, but they may not have that qualification. Would you still consider them? So I think the employers are sort of thawing a bit on that and saying, well, actually, yes, because obviously it's a quality of the individual, and that's where we need to be. So I think we really are banging the drum a lot around vulnerable customers, those that really need that help and support, and ensuring that our relationships with the gateways and with sort of employers within that is very much focused on that. And I think it is having that reality check at a local level as well. But having said that, LJ, I will also stress that, you know, I think there needs to be that other element to Kickstart, in terms of we do have a lot of disaffected young people that have fallen out of the education system for one way or another. unemployed graduates, as I say, or young people have fallen out of jobs or careers that may not have suited them, but they are skilled, and maybe there's those opportunities there as well. So I think with Kickstart, we hope to have, and the sectors we cover as wide and range. You know, we've got 24,000 administration type, office type jobs alone. We've got the creative sector covered. We need more in the creative sector, I think, as well. Those sort of jobs in construction, a wide range. So it is about getting such a wide range of opportunities that our most vulnerable customers are served. And that's where the work coaches are really sort of placing their emphasis on. And I think you're right. For those young people that can help themselves, let's help them to help themselves, if that's it. And those that really need that, let's use Kickstart as that vehicle to support them. And we're sort of buoyed by what we've heard so far in terms of, and I think it's that link to get that discussion going.
Absolutely. And you know, we only work with youth-friendly employers and those organisations that have committed to the Good Youth Employment Charter. And I know Sharon's typing away busily in the chat box, but Sharon Blyfield's here from Coca-Cola, and they are absolutely an employer that's looking at Kickstart to support those young people furthest from the labour market. And actually, I'll let Sharon talk about her work that she's done in this area shortly, because I think it's just really exciting to hear where employers are really seeing this as an opportunity to provide an opportunity to a young person that they would never have even imagined was out there for them. But
I've heard brilliant stuff already, LJ, because I know I'll be talking to the Gateway that Sharon's involved in next week in Coca-Cola. I'm on a call with them, but no, that's great.
It is very exciting. And I think, you know, just to the point about those young people who are perhaps closer to employment, who are ready to help themselves, and Kickstart, you know, the Kickstart's not right for them in terms of, you know, the things that we've talked about. You know, in the plan for jobs, it wasn't just a creation for Kickstart, was it? And yet the very firm focus of Kickstart, I think, is distracted from some of those other opportunities. You know, we saw an investment in apprenticeships, we saw an investment in traineeships as well. So actually, there are pathways that have been created by government across all pathways into employment. Kickstart is just one. So there are other avenues for those young people who are perhaps closer to the labour market in things like apprenticeships too. But also at DWP, you guys have got the full youth employment offer. And Kickstart's not the only thing that you do for young people. And we'll come back to Kickstart, but I do just want to give a moment to talk about all of that opportunity that exists at DWP for a young person. So you get a work coach, and then what happens?
Well, there's a whole range of support, you know, in terms, and it's really tailored towards what those needs are. You know, sector-based work academies is still a key priority for us in terms of that work. And as you say, I think where it's that customer that maybe needs that sort of short, it is probably ready for work, but needs that extra help, the employability support, the work placement guaranteed interview, that's working as well. You will know, LJ, you've been involved in the development of our youth hubs up and down the country, where we're looking at how we actually work with key stakeholders and partners and ensure that we have great offers for young people as well. There's a Restart program coming through again, which is irony for me, because I started as a Restart advisor 30 years ago when I left university thinking I'd only stay 10 minutes, and here I am 30 years down the line. But there's a whole range of support. And I think the key thing is, as I say, is making sure that we are tailoring that support to that young person that they actually need. It's interesting about graduates as well. You know, I work with a large number of Bright Network, one of the, you know, key partners for us, and different organizations where we have routeways into graduate opportunities as well. Dare I say, the civil service, we are a big recruiter ourselves. Government is responding, and we've got large numbers of opportunities. I think a lot of our work, certainly with young people, is centering on those 5 growth sectors as well. So we're looking at pathways into construction, social health and care, logistics and haulage, manufacturing, and social media, IT, digital skills. You know, it's those things. So I think it's coming up with a whole package that we can provide that with. I would sort of say, we know it's been a difficult year. There's no two ways about that, with lockdown, the impact on a large number of young people with mental health issues. And obviously, on the one hand, the sort of word will actually stay where you are, be safe, look after yourself and after your family. And we're coming out of that now. I think it's sort of dealing with those sort of issues as well. What a lot of young people that are sort of coming out, emerging from that, as we all are, trying to bring awareness of those opportunities for us. So I'd like to think we're trying to cover all angles here, but it is those growth sectors piece which is interesting for us, and we're really interested in more construction employers coming through, although we have had quite a number, which is great, and employers within those sectors coming through and offering some great opportunities for our young people that will lead into careers as well.
Yeah, it is. There are lots of pathways there, as we've talked about, in areas that will create long-term and good quality careers for young people, which is a really important factor, particularly for us at Youth Employment UK, when we're thinking about young people and their hopes and aspirations. We know through the Youth Voice census that young people don't think they'll find good quality work where they live. They don't think they're going to find a good career or a youth-friendly employer. So it's really important now to get that messaging out. And one of the things that we'll no doubt hear from guests on today's session is that they are struggling to have their placements filled. You've said it yourself.
Yep.
We've had 96,000 advertised, 16,500 placed. Yep. Now, I have full sympathy with DWP over this, because Kickstart was a brand new program that you had to get up and running, and you've got a chicken and egg situation that you need to have the opportunity before you can have the placements. And also, and quite rightly, we're hearing from young people that they've been told to stay at home for 12 months. Why on earth would they want to, leave their homes for some unknown part-time, paid-for work experience opportunity? And so making that change and investing in kind of the real quality comms around that, and to show young people it's safe and there is a really good opportunity for you to springboard onto your career, something that's going to help you build the skills and the networks and the opportunity to grow. That takes quite a lot of time to undo a 12-month message of stay at home. And of course, added to that is that young people want face-to-face support, particularly the most vulnerable young people. Yes. And you've only just been able to open up job centres to all customers. So the numbers of placements, are you worried, or do you think that we're now going to hit a marker where young people are ready and willing to take these placements?
Well, I think we were worried clearly about and obviously I have hourly conversations with employers and partners and gateways about the level of referrals. Obviously, it's a worry for me. I can see a marked change over the past couple of weeks, and I'll tell you for why. Because I think the new roles, the new Kickstart district account managers working at a local level for DWP, and they're open to contact from any employers and partners, are working brilliantly now with employers and partners. I think the notion before, and I will always say as is and as I see, I think the idea of just putting the opportunities on the UC platform and hoping that work coaches refer the right customers, whatever, that is the way to go. But to add the Kickstart district account manager link for employers and partners so they can build local relationships, to have that does work. I was on a call the other day with one employer, I won't say who it is, I don't know what I'm called, construction employer, who had no referrals to their opportunities in the past couple of weeks. We actually managed to get some Kickstart account managers talking to that employer on the call, and within 2 hours they had 19 for what was only about 35 jobs. So, things are improving. We do accept, and it's interesting about, I know Sharon's pursued Coca-Cola on a gateway. We're looking at working very closely with the gateways now about doing particular promotion of those opportunities within it. Just to let you know from now on, and this isn't for any particular reason, well, I'll probably tell you why, but employers can only take part in one gateway from now. That guidance will change shortly, because I think we've had particular issues where numbers of employers are on several gateways in different, which is fine, often difficult to sort of manage more with the gateway and the employers. But from now on, an employer can only take part in one gateway. Just to let you know, that's changing. It won't affect you if you're already involved. But I think we've been doing a lot more in actually just creating the link for those employers on those gateways directly with our work coaches and our sort of Kickstart district account managers, because ultimately everyone, you can all talk to me as long as you like, and I'll be quite happy to do it, but I'm not going to be filling your jobs at a local level for you. It's going to be my colleagues at a local DWP level that's going to be doing it, and they're doing a great job on it. So I've seen it live happen this week, where I had an employer that was very disgruntled, who I know very well, who would always talk his mind to me, said within a couple of hours, well, Tony, that was good, wasn't it? I said, yeah, it was good. And I learned a lot, because, and that was the example of where the Kickstart account managers were having that dialogue with the employer, saying, well, actually, did you really mean those things about needing a driving license or those qualifications or even a bit of experience? Did you really mean that? And they said, well, no, not really. So we need to do a bit more work, I think, with some of the employers around the job descriptions, around, you know, what they look like, what they feel like. It blew my mind when one of the Kickstart account managers said, well, if you're going to ask for a driving license with a young, I know I may as well skim past the rest of it, because it ain't going to happen. But if you're saying it would be lovely if you have got a driving license, but if you don't, we'd still be looking at the right candidate. It depends how business critical that part of it is. It was those little nuances that you think, well, actually, that changes the whole complexion of it, because work coaches don't have a huge amount of time to look at those. They're very busy anyway. But our Kickstart account managers are finding that some vacancies may well be dismissed because of just a small detail like that, where the employer could be flexible, but it's not been made clear. So there's simple things like that, LJ, that I think, you know, we are getting our head around. But yeah, I was in awe of some of my local colleagues at Kickstart account manager with the knowledge and the understanding. And for me, they always say to me, Tony, I know it's one of your national accounts. Can we talk to them locally? I said, yes. Please build the relationship, get understanding what their business is about, because you're the one with those customers in front of you, and you need to understand what the need is. So I think we are responding to it. We, like all of you employers and partners, want to fill those Kickstart opportunities with great. I've not stayed 30 years in the department because I don't want to see it. We want to get these young people into work. That's what I'm about, and that's what we do, and we appreciate. So if we can help in any way with that process, I think a number of you will have particular account manager colleagues, maybe like myself, to talk to. We will do anything we can do to get you involved. And if you're on the call and you are not involved in Kickstart, and my offer of the day is, please make contact with me if you want to have that conversation, you want a bit of hand holding on this, because you can, as a direct employer, get involved, and obviously you can go through the gateway route as well. But we really do want to try to make this as easy as possible for you.
Okay, so Kim, can you put up our little poll, the next one that we've got, that says, have you advertised Kickstart? How are you getting your Kickstart vacancies filled? So, we want to hear whether you've managed to get all of the applications that you were hoping for at the level you expected. If not, is it something of a concern for you? Is it mixed? Just give us an indication as to whether or not you're concerned or really pleased with the advertising of Kickstart and the applications you're receiving. So just stay up on our screen for a second. It's really interesting, Tony. In my conversation with Mims and actually the new director that's come into DWP, which really pleased me. Ian Kaplan has come from the Department for Education on the apprenticeship agenda over at DFE, is now working on the youth employment agenda at DWP, which is great join up and insight to have sitting across DWP. And we have now offered that we will help connect our youth-friendly employers and their Kickstart opportunities and make sure that our network of young people can access them. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of it. I know that you guys couldn't work hard enough, but I think it is about those local relationships. And I have to say, in terms of district account managers, I follow Hamira, who's one of the Kickstart district account managers in the Southeast. And my goodness, that woman is, just blows my mind in terms of the volume and the passion she has for helping young people to access Kickstart. So those colleagues are well and around within the business. I want to just pick on the point about delivering best practice and wraparound support. It's a conversation that we've been having with DWP. How do we ensure you've got, 196,000 vacancies. Do we know that those 196,000 vacancies are going to really support young people to develop their skills, the confidence, and be able to kind of use that to leverage, to springboard onto their next steps? How confident are you that we're creating quality amongst that volume?
I think that quality issue obviously has been raised about the range of vacancies. Obviously, when those opportunities have come through, they are thoroughly checked in terms of the quality, what the offer is, how they sit, how they look like. I think it also goes through the sort of Kickstart account manager route to have a look and see what those opportunities are. I think, and then it's often about the dialogue with those, relevant employers and partners, which will evolve if there are particular issues. I'm confident we've got a wide range of opportunities now. The only issue for me, and this won't be rocket science, and you know where I'm going with this, is the more opportunities we get on the system and the wider range, obviously the wider the choice is, but obviously and then it becomes very, very competitive. It's about how employers and partners package their opportunities, how good those opportunities are. What does it really lay out that there is a career structure potentially, that there is a job? It's interesting. I had a discussion with one of my major national employers yesterday. We're just reaching a stage of the 6 months where a large number of those original employers that were on there are actually, and Tesco's are included in this, will obviously be looking at that, the impact of that 6 months and how many young people are actually going into work and how many this is working for. And I think there is, and as I say, one of my employees was really confident. So no, we've had some people that have gone halfway through and have actually found themselves a job anyway, or we know we're going to be offering employment to a large number of those young people as well. So I think we're still in that phase, aren't we, where we're looking at what's there. We're looking at the quality of the opportunities. We're listening to the customers if they do come back out of that situation. We are very much hoping that if it's worked well for employers and partners, we will be asking them to maybe do more with us. I think the first rule of sales we know is maximize, people that are working with you and doing really well. We'd love some new business as well. So I think it's really about, next important stage for us is analysing how effective has it been for those young Kickstarters that are coming out of that 6 month stage now. I would want to be having major discussions with some of my employers about, well, actually, if none of them have been employed, or if they're all coming back through our doors and saying, this has worked well, thank you very much, but I'm no further down the line, then I'd slightly worry and would need to have that conversation. I don't think that will be the case, but I think, and that's where the sort of quality aspect comes in, because it's about, that journey. And as I say, the time is perfect for us to have this conversation, because I'm already having a few chats about, well, how has it worked for you? And I'm really on the case saying, well, look, I'd really be hoping, I don't know how you would have someone for 6 months in your workplace and they're doing brilliantly and you wouldn't want to keep them. Now, I know sometimes you can't, and that's the reality of the situation. It may be economic situation, but that's where we're at in terms of the quality piece.
Absolutely. And just on that, there is lots of guidance around quality of placement and great wraparound support services. Yeah. And I'll wax lyrical about our own, which are all free to use, but digitally based. Yeah. So it allows you to monitor and evidence kind of the employability level of support you're giving young people, which it's critical. And that data capture is going to be really important. I know as part of the Youth Employment Group, we're working with the evaluation team to start to understand that. And it brings me on to a point Mims raised when I interviewed her this week. Everybody wants to know if Kickstart is going to be extended. We haven't, with all the best will in the world, employers haven't had the volume of applicants they were hoping for. They haven't felt like they've got started, but they've invested a lot of time so far into this programme. So they're super keen to see it extended, yes, to see that return on their passion and commitment to, the youth employment opportunity. And when I put the question about extension to Mims, she raised what I thought was a really interesting challenge back to us, was that, until you have filled those 250,000 vacancies, it's a very difficult sell to go back to Rishi Sunak and say, we want more money for a programme that's not working. So almost you have to fill the vacancies now and get those programmes up and running, get that evidence to know that young people who did Kickstart built their skills, their confidence, and entered jobs before you can go cash in hand, handouts rather, it's back to Rishi Sunak. Is that how you see the extension piece, or are you very much towing the DWP line that the programme will close on December 31st? I mean, you've been around for 30 years, Tony. Give us.
Well, thank you, LJ. Yeah, me dismissing what my minister says will be I think there's two schools of thought here. I think we need to look at the economy over the next few months as well in terms of youth unemployment. We need to look at the impacts of the return to the shops open, post June. Will at the end of furlough, will there be more young people coming through the actual system? I think Mims obviously is absolutely right, isn't it? I think given that we have approved 195,000 jobs at the moment, and given that I've already said that I think we're filling them quicker now, we're on top of that now. I expect the next couple of months to really be good in terms of those numbers coming through. We'll just have to wait and see. So I think she's absolutely right. It could be extended, but I think it's really about the economy. I think it's about the spending review as well, isn't it? I think it's about money. It's always about money, what's there. But I think it would be silly of us to say we would extend past December the 30th if we've got thousands of opportunities that we haven't already filled. So I think, we do need to look at that over the next couple. I think we also need to, and this is why I've thrown it in before you've asked the question, we also need to look at the effectiveness of it, don't we? We need to look at how many of those young people have gone through Kickstart and have actually come out the other end with a great opportunity for a job or a career, or do they come back through our doors again? And so, I've worked around long enough to know that there's always something on the horizon. Do we focus our attention more on, sector-based work academies? We've still got that whole youth offer, haven't we, that we could be ploughing into? But yeah, I think it's those three factors. It's the economy. What does that look like? It's about, are we going to fill those opportunities over the next couple of months anyway? And will we need to extend? Because I think we may well have a position that instead of actually extending and having new applications post December 31st, it's not inconceivable to say, well, actually, we've already committed and these employers have already had their bids accepted. That might actually be an avenue that employers with opportunities they haven't filled, we could look at that. But once again, that's in the Chancellor's hands about will he have the money for that? He said the money won't run out for this. That's not an issue, but hey, the world is what it is. It's all changing, isn't it? So different factors, I think.
It really is. And of course, job retention scheme will end at the end of September. We'll have this year's school leaver cohort entering the labour market. We're seeing the devastation across India in terms of their next wave. So it's an unpredictable set of circumstances. But I think it's actually a very astute point that actually, what is the point in requesting an extension to a program if it's not working? So that time and that evaluation is really important. But at the same time, we have got a 5-year high of young people who are long-term unemployed. So that number we don't expect to see go down, because those are the young people that need the help the most. So there's all the balancing to do there. But I've taken enough of your time and should hand over to some of the questions. As ever, I will give first response back to Sharon. Sharon, you are leading the charge for excellent quality placements for those young people who are furthest from the labour market. How's Kickstart going, Sharon?
Well, before we go into Kickstart, you owe me lunch. That's all I'm saying, LJ. You owe me lunch. The word cucumber was there. So I've literally just come off of a panel. So how's Kickstart going? Well, we finally got the first 2 started on Monday. It's fair to say it's been painful. I know Amy is on this call, and poor Amy, she gets her ear bashed every day because as Coca-Cola European partners, we have gone through a gateway. Because we started this journey before the government or the DWP made the decision that we could do it. But I've got to be honest, I wouldn't want to do it because the hassle we've gone through, I'd rather give it to Amy to deal with that hassle. But nevertheless, we're getting the momentum, we're starting to move forward. So Kickstart for us, we will by the end of May, probably have around about 20 Kickstart placements in a variety of roles across our organisation. One of the roles that I'm particularly proud of, but COVID has kind of delayed it a little bit, is our merchandiser. So we're piloting for the first time in our business merchandisers using Kickstart, but providing them with electric mopeds. The reason why COVID has kind of scuppered us a little bit is because the test centres have all been closed. So now they're back open, we've got a backlog, and we want to put these young people, young adults, we will fund their license and the tests that they need to do, and some additional training to support them. Because one of the big things for me, which LJ knows I've been banging on about for years, is we have lots of sales roles. The barrier is a young person has to make the decision between eating and paying their rent or spending £1,500 learning to drive. I know which options it's going to be. So this has actually helped to break down that barrier, and the business will then use that to see whether or not it wants to roll it wider than just Kickstart. So Kickstart started the momentum for us, but it's not just Kickstart. I think I put in the chat traineeships. I wanted to see how could I link traineeships and Kickstarts and apprenticeships together. So out to stakeholders for our manufacturing area, traineeship started with 8 young people on the 12th of April. We had to work slightly differently for Scotland because we always have to. They will go through their traineeship. They will then go on to Kickstart. Now people will go, but you need the vacancy open. We've opened the vacancy. We've worked with the Job Centre Plus coaches to try and manage this. So, you know, there's been a lot of background work going on there. And they will then move on to Kickstart with the view that we hopefully will either directly employ them or they'll go on to an apprenticeship. Our aim, we've only gone for a small number of Kickstart placements to begin with, because ideally we want to convert in one way or the other into our organisation once the scheme has finished. I did a call this week with the Job Centre Plus coaches, which was very interesting, and Tony, you've just referenced it, was around the fact that now that the world seems to be opening up, lots of people are looking for Kickstart placements. So we're actually in a competition. So if you don't move quick enough as an employer, you'll lose the person. Because I asked the question was, you've matched me with all these people, yet I've not seen one applicant come through. What's going on? So the Job Centre Plus coaches now have a better understanding for some of my roles and what needs to happen. And I think communication has been absolutely critical. But I think I might have lost the will to live if it wasn't for Amy and the team to do this, because it hasn't been easy. And I've been there from day one. So July the 4th or 7th, when Rishi announced it, I was on it, but it's taken us till now to really get going. But please persevere to everyone on this call. It is definitely worth it.
I just want to say a big thank you, Sharon. I know you're working with one of my colleagues, I think Andy Paulson, who's on my team, and that's great. Yeah, well, we can only thank you for your efforts and patience and tolerance. And also it's interesting because the way you're viewing Kickstart, you know, opportunities and building it into your business needs is great as well. I think I know that the link with the Kickstart account managers locally will work. I think that will generate more referrals. We are having to do, and we will do loads more work with the gateways and the individual employers as part of it, because I think that is the key, isn't it? As you say, it's about getting them to really understand the implications of the roles, what you're looking for, the customer spec, that side of it, and building that link. So I can only thank you for your support for this. And as I say, I'm really keen to work with any employers and partners that want to get directly involved. And as a gateway as well, I actually feel sort of sorry for a number of our because that coordination piece, getting that bit right is good, you know, and it's great for them. And when they've got a large number of employers and partners as part of it as well, we're getting our head around how that works. Some gateways may only have 1 or 2 employers, some may well have 20, 25, 30 employers. So it is, for us, is trying to unpick those relationships and get you talking to the right people and promote that. But our job centres opened again to the public over the last couple of weeks. 13,500 work coaches we've recruited over the past 6 months, and we recruited our last one just a few weeks ago. So, you know, it's been a mammoth exercise to try to get this off the ground. So no, I can only thank you again, Sharon. And you now, anytime you want to have a moan at me now about if it's not going well, please let me know, because Andy and I spoke about you the other day, and it was in glowing terms about your patience and tolerance of it. So we can only thank you again.
Thanks, Sharon. And to Tony's offer, Ian, we don't have long, and we've got, I know, a few questions. Ian, are there questions that Tony hasn't happily answered during our conversation that we can pick up? Because I want to be able to make sure we let Tony go, because he is on today's annual, well, it's his non-working day today, so let's not keep him. And we've got some things we want to wrap up, some really important announcements to get to and share with you before the end of the session. So, Mr. Tinto, what do you know?
So I will put them almost into topic basis if possible, because I think it potentially leads on. One from Caitlin Dalgleish and Annette Holdsworth, who are both asking whether more can be done to signpost young people to the opportunities, and whether or not we've tapped into some of those partners who also work with those young people to help populate those sessions. So just your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a very good point. We are working with local partners, and our Kickstart district account managers are very much reaching out to those partner organisations now where young people are. Obviously, young people need to be on universal credit for this. They need to be sort of to be eligible. But obviously, so yeah, good point. We are doing what we are reaching out to those organisations, and then any young customers can go through their work coach and be referred. So that's part of our sort of offer really locally, and the relationship with the local account managers.
And watch this space for some information I shall share on that as well shortly. Ian, next question.
Okay, two more if we've got time to quickly squeeze them in, Tony. So Sean from Virtual Internship says, could more be done to support remote placements? There may be young people in particular areas of the country who could do a role remotely with an employer that is elsewhere.
100%, and a large number of the opportunities we got are very much remote and virtual, and that's the way of the work. One lesson of the last year has been that there can be opportunities that are virtual. We would really encourage that, and if there are sort of employers and partners that can offer virtual remote opportunities as part of this, as long as it fits your business model, that's absolutely fine. And a mix and match as we return to the more physical environment, obviously to have a mixed bag of opportunities is absolutely great. Yeah,
I'm just sneaking in on that point, because I absolutely agree the importance to have such a variety of opportunities, and it will help young people. I was speaking to an account manager in the depths of Wales, where young people who do live in some of those regional areas just will never be given an opportunity to work for a Coca-Cola. But actually, we must also remember that young people do have issues with digital connectivity. They might not have laptops. They might not necessarily have those home working skills that older and more experienced workers have. So you do have to really carefully think about that digital support if someone is working from home for you. Youth Employment UK released a lot of best practice about supporting young people who are working from home, and you can get those guides directly free from our website. But do bear in mind those kind of digital connectivity, digital access and home working skills, they won't be necessarily as you might expect them to be. So for best practice, reach out and talk to us about how you can get some further guidance.
Okay.
Ian, last question.
Yeah, just before we get to the last question, tiny bit of feedback, but not one necessarily for an answer. I think some people are having difficulties with their vacancies only being available locally when they could be done remotely. Final question that we have was from Ed Holroyd Pierce. He's interested to know about the tracking DWP will do, even though it's not a requisite for the programme, of those that go on to full employment, and whether or not you'll do this, or it's something that the employers will be expected to refer data on.
I don't think there is an expectation that employers will be mandatory. They'll have to refer. We would hope our employers will be, obviously, they will know and share that data with us. Our work coaches will be obviously tasked, we think, with checking the outcomes. It's going to be crucial for us, but we would hope we will be working with you on an individual basis, and you'll be feeding in these success stories and the numbers that have gone into work as a result of Kickstart. So it's a two-way street on that one.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Tony. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to the chat box. If we have missed your question, if you pop it in there, we will endeavour to get an answer for you. And I'll pass back to yourself, LJ.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, absolutely. Please do put your questions in the chat box. And if you think of them after today's session, you know, Tony is an absolute hero, and I know he will respond once I share those questions back out with him. I'm just going to share back my screen. Tony, I really appreciate your time today. I appreciate it most because it's a Friday and it's your non-working day. It's great to have you and the support that you offer to our network. So thank you for that. I'm just going to wrap up over these last few minutes. This presentation and the links that are here will go out to all of you, but they will be available with the recording of this session in the news section of our website on Tuesday, if I can't do it over the weekend. There you'll be able to watch, it's already up on our website, the interview with Mims Davis. It was only a 15-minute interview, but it was a really great insight into how the Minister thinks the future of Kickstart opportunities will look. So do take a look with that. Exclusive news for you all today who have joined this session. It's the first time I've been able to say this publicly. I am delighted that Youth Employment UK and Movement to Work have partnered to create a brand new Kickstart guide for employers. This is now on our website. You can see the link here. The aim is to provide all of our shared advice and best practice about running a Kickstart placement for an employer, from an SME to a corporate, in one place, but also to help those employers that are looking to utilise Kickstart and the opportunity it provides. We have built a database of wraparound and gateway support services who have been approved by either the Movement to Work partner route or are a good youth employment charter sign up. And so if an organisation has signed up to either Movement to Work or Youth Employment UK through that quality standard, they will be listed on this database for employers to be able to find a good quality service provider around them. So this is hot off the press today, brand new partnership news from us, some excellent content and guidance on creating the best quality Kickstart places for young people. And alongside that, and it's something that I've mentioned a few times, is that our work, you know, predominantly is to support young people to develop the skills and confidence for their futures. We know this has been a terrible year for young people this year, and so we are launching a summer of opportunity. I want to lead with you a campaign that helps young people hear that there are opportunities for them, whether that's employment, education or training, whether that's fun stuff, right? They've missed out on a year of fun and skill building. And so we in partnership, again, with the Careers and Enterprise Company, though this time, are launching Create Your Future. The campaign runs in two ways. Firstly, with the Careers and Enterprise Company, we are supporting all schools across England to engage with a scheme of work that will prepare the school leavers, the year 11 and year 13 this year, to access these opportunities. And secondly, we will have a social campaign, Create Your Future, where our site is going to host any opportunity that organisations in our network have available for the summer, including Kickstart. And it's something we talked about with Mims earlier this week. So if you are signed up to the Good Youth Employment Charter, which remember is free and will help you assure quality, you can now, working with Ian, promote your opportunities to young people across the summer. We anticipate this being the biggest youth-facing campaign of the year, and your support with the hashtag Create Your Future and getting involved in all the ways that you can will be very, very welcome. It's time to share a different message for young people this year. And assuring quality of placements, I talked about it in the session. We have got free digital wraparound support for young people, and it will complement any of the face-to-face delivery you are offering. There are young professional courses, age-specific, that are certified, so 8 short courses, and you get a certificate on completion of each, all covering areas like personal development, professional development, skills and careers. They demonstrate impartiality and quality, map to Gatsby benchmarks. You can access a free group management system, so you can assign all of your young people on Kickstart, but also monitor their progress. And it provides ongoing support beyond the placement of Kickstart, because our site is available to young people up until they're 24, and I'm yet to kick anyone out for being 25. Finally, don't forget, the Youth Voice Census is our biggest survey of young people. We need to hear what they've experienced in the last 12 months, what their concerns are, what their barriers are, what their hopes are, what's worked and what hasn't worked. Without understanding that, we can't effectively develop services for young people, whoever you are. You cannot create something for a young person without a young person being involved in that, in our view here. So the Youth Voice Census is hugely important. And if you've got young people aged 14 to 24 in your network, we'd really love it for you to ask them to complete the census. They can be in any form of education, employment, training and or NEET. And their voice really matters. The report will launch in September and will give all of our organisations an opportunity to really hear young people this year. So please do promote the census. It's open and live until the 1st of June, so another month to go. In the presentation, you'll get some links to some key information and activities off our website. And of course, that website and our ability to connect with you stems across email, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm trying to get us on Pinterest, but our social media apprentice, Kim, says no. That's it for today. Please do take a moment to share your thoughts and reflections back. Kim, can you ask our final poll of the day to find out if this webinar has been useful to you, and if it's something that you'd like to get in touch and support the Create Your Future campaign, we'd love to hear. Again, Tony, thank you so much. Please go and enjoy the rest of your hopefully sunny day off in a gym, and we will see everybody for our next webinar, which will be next month, this time next month. Well, actually, it'll be 1 o'clock next month on the subject of youth employment. Thanks, everybody. Have a super bank holiday.
Bye.